Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our October Monday night workshop. It's October 1st. Yay, we're in October. It's the first day that we've actually had a full day of rain today, so that's nice. In Arizona, it's nice. I was just saying how my son came home from school today, he had a long sleeve hoodie on, and I'm like, honey, why do you got, it's cold outside, it's 77 outside, which is funny. So for those of you who are not in the Arizona area, you can laugh at our pain right now. Anyway, I wanted to just welcome you to the workshop. Thank you all for joining us online, and thank you for those of you who came to visit us this evening, trudging against the rain. We had a Monday, last week, I think it was last weekend, we had an Omega 1. It was last weekend, right? We had an Omega 1, so that was nice. A great group of people. I enjoyed that program very much. And unfortunately, we have nothing else scheduled for the rest of the year. Mark and I are putting together an idea of some kind of schedule, something to do within the next couple of months, but nothing on the books. So just the workshops now, which is great. Come on in. Just the workshops right now, which is very good. So tonight's topic, I will tell you, obviously, there's another workshop in 2 weeks that will be the topic is, I just had it and it went away. I don't remember, but you could check out online, www.omegavector.org, naturally, to check out any new information that's coming out. So tonight's topic is Wastelands. And once I picked the topic, that song Teenage Wastelands has been in my head forever and a day. So I wanted to just take a moment and talk about being wasteful. As a society, I would say that we seem to be a bit wasteful of many things that we have. Now, when it comes to waste, I went and looked up on the dictionary, and believe it or not, the word waste actually is a noun, a verb, and an adjective. You guys should sit over there so I can look on both sides. Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, John. So it's a noun, a verb, and an adjective. And the idea about waste is you could, like physically, you could waste away, or we're wasteful with our resources, we're wasteful with our time or food. We could be wasteful with our mind, our money. So that was another big one, wasting our money. And then the biggest one was time, though. Of all the things that I researched, time seemed to be the one topic that most people connected wasteful with. I remember when I was growing up, you know, and your parent, at least for us, your parents only made one meal and everybody had to eat it. Like today, everyone gets different, but one meal is all you had. And if you didn't want to eat it, you sat at the table until you finished. And you always heard the phrase, there are children in India starving. And I was always the one who said, well, pack it up and send it to them. They never laughed, but you know, it made sense to me. If they're starving, take this food and send it to them. Wherever it's a win-win. That's the waste of food. But that's when I think about like a wasteful society that we have. I remember last year, I think it was, my son came home and he talked about how much food is wasted in the United States, how much food gets thrown out, especially like in fast food restaurants or the bagel shops or bakeries. By the end of the day, either they donate it or just flat out throw it out. So that's one of the things they were trying to work on, was seeing if they could connect grocery stores that just send it over to soup kitchens or halfway houses and whatnot. So obviously, when we think about waste, it's either discarding and something that we think of is not needed, not necessary, or just I'm done with. So we toss it aside. That's like a big thing about waste. When it comes to the idea of wasting our time, these are some of the quotes. I actually found a great deal of quotes, so I wanted to just read some of the quotes that I found. Some of these are really good. The first quote that I came up with was, well, the first one I thought it was waste not, want not. I mean, I grew up with that, waste not, want not. I never understood what it meant, so I did a little research today, and it means that if you're not wasting, you're not going to be wanting anything. If you're using everything, you'll always have something. So I think that's probably appropriate with the recycling. I'm really big on recycling, so I think that's really good. I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, we can recycle things. So waste not, want not. I'll always have something. I know that when I first started paying attention to recycling, I stopped using the garbage disposal because you could do what is it called? Compost, thank you. You could do a compost, and then you could just recycle that and put it back into the ground. I was big on composting, but then I didn't have a backyard. But I kind of lived on a mountain, so I would compost and then take it out on the mountain and just drop it around somewhere and just, somebody will eat it or whatnot. I remember I got in trouble one time. The HOA is like, stop feeding the animals. I'm like, I'm not. I'm recycling. I'm composting. I'm putting it out. Oh, the coyotes are coming. Okay. But I liked the coyotes. They were cute. Anyway, that was the first one that I said was waste not, want not. Here's another one that I found. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living in someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. That's Stephen Jobs. I thought, wow, that was very cool. But I love the idea where he said, don't let somebody else's thoughts and opinions be your own. Like, think for your own, feel for your own. I really enjoyed that one. Here's another one, love this one. Marcus Aurelius, one of my favorite quotable people. He said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Just be one. And I thought, wow, isn't it funny how we debate on who should be and how we should be and what we should do, and all you really have to do is just do it. Just do it. I remember George used to always use the illustration, there's people who cry about the spilt milk, and then there's the other people who just go find another cow, like take action and move on. So I like that one. Here's another one. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. That's Charles Darwin. So that to me, I kind of was like, wow, an hour. Would it be an hour wasted if I was writing or meditating or not really focused on anything? Which I'm going to get to. That's one thing I was thinking of is, how do we determine what's waste and what isn't? What is an appropriate rhythm to take a break and to come back and feel renewed and refreshed? My son said today, sleeping was a waste of time. I'm like, well, then why do you sleep so much? But we know sleeping is necessary. It's a cycle. I know there was a scientific study done in the 70s, I think, or the 80s, where they did about people, they tried to make it so people didn't have to sleep. And they proved that your body didn't have to sleep as long as you took time to rest. It didn't have to truly sleep. But the thought processes were much slow, clarity was much slower. You could still function, but your brain wasn't as effective as it was if you had a standard amount of sleep. And of course now everybody knows there's a big push for having the right amount of sleep. Oh, my mind's not working today. The woman who has been very prominent about making an effort, she published this last year, that the employees, they're actually tracking their sleep time. And if they sleep 8 hours a night for 5 weeks, for 5 nights a week, for I think 4 weeks or something like that, they get a bonus or an incentive showing that they're sleeping because they're more productive. And of course, Google has the sleep pods that they put in their the building that they're working in there's like a place that you can go to. It's a sleep pod. You just close the thing, you listen to meditative music, and you could take a nap if you wanted to. Because I recognize people work better if they're feeling rested. Their mind is rested. Here's another one. Wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person who you are. That's Kurt Cobain, which is very odd, but he said wanting to be somebody else really is wasting who you are, which is true. Now I think as children, it's always imperative that we have people that we look up to inspire to be, but to try to emulate them to a T really is a waste of who you are. I mean, they're the mini-me phenomenon. There's no need to have that. You have your own life's expression. The world is wide, and I will not waste my life in friction when it can be turned into momentum. This was Francis E. Willard. I do not know who he is, but I like that idea, that he says, if I'm not wasting my life in friction, I'd rather take that into momentum. So when I'm upset with things that are not working, he would consider that as friction and not productive, as opposed to shifting it into being a momentum and achieving the things we wish to achieve. William Shakespeare said, I wasted time, and now doth time waste me. I don't know what that means. I just like the way it came out. I do know that you waste time, and now time has no time for you, essentially, is what it is. It's moved on. I'm guessing. George Allen said, every day you waste is one you can never make up. I like that one. Many times when I feel like I haven't been productive and I look back and I think the whole day is gone, I'm like, wow, I just wasted another day that I'm not going to get back. It's been my observation that most people get ahead during the time that others waste. That was Henry Ford. I like that one, recognizing that other people are wasting time. And I thought about George on this one. George was not big on TV. He was not big on sports. He was not really big on movies, but he liked to read and go for walks. That was his break, but he didn't want to waste his time. As a matter of fact, when I met him, he didn't even have cable. Neither one of us did, but he didn't have cable. When I moved in to take care of him, TV was never on, and then when the caregivers started to come in, they would always have the TV on. It was very frustrating to him because it was noise and he wasn't used to it. He liked to play the music in the background. So there's some people that really have an aversion to our forms of entertainment today. As a matter of fact, if I am correct, I don't think I've ever seen George play a video game on the computer, solitaire when that first came out. He never did any of that. It was always work for him or something to be progressive or be progressing. Waste is worse than loss. I like this one. Waste is worse than loss. The time is coming when every person who lays claim to ability will keep the question of waste before him constantly. The scope of thrift is limitless. And this is Thomas Edison. I really like the first line, waste is worse than loss. Because when you lose something, it may have been something you had and you lost, but waste, you didn't even do anything, and it was just wasted. I'm talking about time. Benjamin Franklin said, take time for all things. Great haste makes great waste. So if you don't take the appropriate time for things, it's going to be a waste anyway. So he encourages us to take the time for all things. This is good. Waste your money and all you're out of is money. But waste your time and you've lost part of your life. I like that one. I was thinking about, have there been times when I've wasted money? Well, you could say when you spend $50 on a t-shirt just because you happen to be at a concert and you're excited about it and you need to have the Yes t-shirt, back when we were kids, you buy that. How often have I worn that t-shirt? I don't know. So that might be a waste of money to me. I think sometimes wasting money is when we pay more than what we really need to pay for something. We know that. We know when there's something that's far more expensive than we should have. Or when we buy things that we don't necessarily need, that would be a waste. Many years ago, George used to challenge me, do you want it or do you need it? I didn't like shopping with him. But it's true, if you really focus on it, and I catch myself saying that nowadays, do I want it or do I need it? And 9 times out of 10, I'll actually put it back because I don't really need it, which is so unlike the way I used to be. I want it, of course I want it, that's why I'm getting it. Anyway, that's a good way to waste your money. Some people would say gambling is a waste of money, that people who spend time in Vegas and whatnot. Now I've known people who do charity auctions and stuff, or charity gambling. That I don't think it's a waste, obviously, because it's making a contribution. With reasonable men I will reason. This is cute. With humane men I will plead. But with tyrants I will give no quarter, nor waste arguments where they certainly will be lost. So that would be considered a wasted conversation as well as wasted time. When you're trying to talk to someone they completely disagree with you and they're not going to budge, stop. Just recognize it. Okay, I agree to disagree. Love that line. I agree that we disagree. I've used that line where some people say, but, and continue on, like they won't let you agree to just simply disagree because your disagreement is still an invalidation. But for the most part, when you say I agree to disagree, that should end the conversation or the conflict. Every day you spend drifting away from your goals, I love this one. Every day you drift away from your goals is a waste, not only of that day, but also of the additional day it takes to regain what you had started. Anybody who's ever worked out, you understand that. You work out, you get yourself up to a certain amount of time on the elliptical, let's say, and you got your heart rate up and you're doing like 60 steps a minute. Is it 60 steps a minute? Maybe that's it. I don't know. But you're working. And then if you take time off, you can't just get back on there and go right where you left off. Impossible. You have to start all over again. And this is why some people don't like to exercise when they fall off from it. It's hard to restart back up again and get yourself going again. I was thinking, I was sick most of last week from, I'm going to blame one of our staff members. She was sick in the Omega 1 and I got sick. So I was sick most of the last week. And I'll tell you, today's probably the first day I feel strong enough to get up. But it took me a while to get going. I mean, my fever broke around, midnight on Saturday, early Sunday. But most of yesterday, it took me a while to get up. And it was a chore just to get up and make something to eat or do a load of laundry. It really was like, I don't want to take a shower. I'm just exhausted. So it takes time to recuperate, especially from being sick. But the same thing when we're wasting our time. It takes us time to recuperate and get back up to speed. I've often talked about distractions in the workplace with my clients. And we talk about when you're on a project and someone comes in and interrupts you, whether it's a question or they have a request, it takes time away from you. You have to address them. Now, sometimes addressing them takes 5 to 10 minutes. And sometimes you have to write it down and make a note, or you'll get interrupted because another person comes in and they want to join in the conversation. Sometimes you actually can leave for about an hour. And when you come back, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to figure out where you were and where you were going to get going. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be interrupted again. And this is why sometimes it's very difficult when you work in cubes where everybody's asking a question. And if you're on the phones, you just reach, hey, do you know what that is? Do you know what the number is for that? And that can be a distraction, which ends up wasting people's time. So it's hard to stay focused when we have all those interactions. And that can be considered distractions naturally as a waste or interruption of our time. Let him who would enjoy a good future waste none of his present. I like that. So if I really want a good future, if I waste my present moment right now, I'm not going to really have the future that I'm desiring because I'm wasting my present moment. People who have time on their hands, this is funny, people who have time on their hands will inevitably waste the time of people who have work to do. I totally love that because it's true. And I've been on both ends. I've been on where I don't have anything. I'm sitting around for an hour, so I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm interrupting. And then I become aware, I'm interrupting. And then I've been on the other side where I'm working and people are interrupting me because they've got nothing to do. I'm bored. Well, go vacuum I don't know, especially kids during the summer. Those parents can't stand this. There's nothing to do for the kids during the summer and it's constant interrupt. And if you work from home, it's interruption. I'm hungry. Well, can you make me a sandwich? No, give it to me and I'll make your own. So like the frustration gets into play. I'm not picking on kids, really. But I do like that. When people who have idle time on their hands, they often interrupt the people who are working because they want someone to go play with. Many years ago when I was a massage therapist, some of my clients would complain about not having friends to go do things with in the middle of the day. Because everyone's working, and here they are retired at 40, and they want other people to come and play, and everyone's working. So that, was good business for me because I ended up getting massages because nobody had anything else to do. So I'll give you a massage. Another one is, with so much emphasis on wasting time. Oh, no, sorry, that's me. So those are the quotes. Then I would say that there's so much emphasis on wasting of time, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed or disappointed in yourself. Oh, I could have been doing this, or oh, I should be doing that, and constantly writing yourself. Because I do think that if we're constantly filling every moment, we're going to overload, that we need to have those breaks. And I always just go back to my number one illustration of our lungs. We take an inhale, there is a small fraction of time where there's a transition of the oxygen and the carbon monoxide, and then there's the exhale, carbon dioxide. There's that small transition, that pause. That pause is necessary in order for us to exhale. If we don't have the pause, we're not getting the benefit of our breathing. Same thing with eating. When we eat, our body assimilates the food. If all you do is constantly eat, you're not going to absorb the nutrients that you need, and your digestive system is actually going to be overloaded. And it's not going to pull out the enzymes and the nutrients that it needs to get rid of the waste, and you end up gaining and just keep gaining because it's not processing it appropriately. So there are times when we need to rest. So naturally, the question would be, well, how do you know if you're resting or wasting? That's the good question. One of the 7 deadly sins is slothfulness. So how do we know if we're being a sloth or if we really are taking a well-deserved rest? Now, it's hard to determine that, naturally. It's hard to determine that. I did find 2 quotes on this idea, though. One of them said, "Rest is not idleness, and to lie sometimes on the grass, under the trees on a summer's day, listening to the murmur of the water, or watching the clouds float across the sky is by no means a waste of time." Now, I would agree with that. However, I can't see myself doing that for more than a half an hour, maybe an hour. I know the last time that we went to the beach on vacation, when I was a little girl, I could hang out, not little, when I was a teenager, I hang out on the beach all day, just hang out on the beach with your friends, all day. The last time I was in Hawaii, I don't think we laid on the beach once. I don't think we did, not once. I can't do it. The last time we took the kids out to San Diego, well, it was raining, but when it was nice out, I can't just sit there. I sat there and I was like, what did I used to do? Because this is not enjoyable. I brought a book, but you can't really read because everyone's running around and playing and screaming, and I'm always got the eye on the kids, making sure the riptide isn't taking them out, or some lifeguard always comes into my head. So it was not enjoyable to me. And that's when I thought, well, some things that I find enjoyable may not be enjoyable to others. So they would consider it wasteful, where I wouldn't, and vice versa. You understand that. But I do like the idea of, I love being in nature, and I do like the idea of it's important and imperative to get back out into nature, to reconnect with the energy. That's mostly what I'm connected with. But again, I can't do it more than a day, a hike. I'm good for an hour, and that's it. I don't need an 8-hour hike to feel connected to nature. An hour, I'm good, So anyway, that's me. It's just me. Another one I thought was, nothing is a waste of time if you use the experience wisely. And I'm 100% on this. No matter what I do, I can use the experience wisely. So if I'm binge watching, and I've binge watched and recognize that I've binge watched, if I don't use that experience wisely, then I've wasted my time. But if I do find some value out of what I did and can use it, then it was valuable. Of course, in Omega, we always talk about finding the value in the events. So there can be value in being wasteful to a point, is what I would say. The question that we must ask, this is what I'm thinking of, the question I have to ask is, again, I've said it, how do we know that we're wasting? It sounds very obvious, but if you think about it, again, we don't really know. There's not a clear line. If I'm in the morning, am I wasting my time if when I put the tea kettle up and I'm waiting for it to boil, I stand there and look out the window? Am I wasting my time? Well, I could go do a load of laundry if there's laundry that needed to be done, or, I could grab a book and read. But is it really a waste of time for 2 minutes, let's say, waiting for the water to boil? I don't think so. Now, if I would spend more time after the tea and pour it in there and just stand there and stare out the window, if nothing is really happening out there, yeah, I would say it's a waste of time. If I'm waiting for the sunrise, no, it's not a waste of time. If I'm just watching, perhaps maybe I'm watching the hummingbirds, not a waste of time. It's beautiful watching the hummingbirds. But if I did that for an hour or two, maybe it would be a waste of time. I had a townhouse on Central Avenue, loved it. It was up by Butler off of Northern, right where the trees are, at the top of Central. It's beautiful with the trees and everything in Phoenix. I loved it. And on the townhouse where I had it faced the road, but I had this balcony upstairs. So the trees were in front of me, and I had mounted a swing up there. Every morning I'd go out there. It was my favorite place. I'd just go sit out there and watch the sunrise. You can't really see the sunrise, but you see the light, of course, growing, and you could hear the birds. It was very, very beautiful, very picturesque. The canal was right down there, so you could see the dogs and the people walking, riding their bikes and whatnot. I loved it. As a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite places. My sister used to love. That was her favorite place whenever she came to visit. It was just so peaceful. To me, I don't think that's a waste of time when we're connecting and unwinding or just gearing up for the day. What I thought about doing was I wrote down a list of things that I would think that most people, we could debate on whether it's a waste of time or not. These are things that, oh, here's a waste of time, here's a waste of time. This is what I came up with for myself. So the first thing that I've encountered when I first started teaching meditation, people would say that's a waste of time. I don't have time to meditate. And the thought that usually comes through my mind when I think about meditation, George used to say, meditation is a tool, not a lifestyle. What do you mean? And he goes, eventually you have to come out of your meditation and live. There's some people that just want to meditate, and that doesn't work. You got to do a meditation and come out and experience. So meditation, of course, naturally, we discussed the idea that meditation is a way to train our mind, to capture our attention, to stay focused. It's a way to calm, peace, reconnect, rejuvenate ourselves. All of that is very beneficial. George always recommended no more than 20 minutes. I adhere to that. And then he would say twice a day, if you could do it twice a day, which I agree with, if you could do it twice a day. I have experimented with that, where I'll do one meditation that I've done for almost 20 years. I do that in the morning, and in the afternoon I would do a mantra, and then I'd switch it up and do the mantra. And what I would find is I didn't like doing my meditation, my normal meditation in the afternoon, because I was so used to doing it in the morning that I would have resistance. But again, you just play around with it. Now, if I did meditate every hour on the hour for 20 minutes, I think that would be a waste of my time. I really do. But if I did the meditation and then I come out and did something I was working on and maybe meditated for an answer, some people do that. I know people have meditated to write or to paint or to do music. That's a great way to do that as well. Meditation again. So like I said, some people would consider that a waste of time. Me personally, I don't think it would be considered a tremendous waste of time. This is a funny one, breathing. I know when I say that you're going to laugh, but some people think breathing is a waste of time. And what I mean here is conscious breathing. In the Far East, the masters teach their students about breathing. Most people breathe shallow. We don't really fill up our lungs to their full capacity, so we're always breathing shallow. This way we're not really getting the full benefits of oxygenating our body. So in the East, they practice exercises on breathing. I don't know too many Westerners who actually have a practice on breathing. In the morning they might practice meditation, but not the actual idea of breathing. It's the same thing about conscious eating. Most of us eat to either enjoy or entertain, but nobody really thinks about, not nobody, it has not been my experience that people sit and think about the idea that I'm placing salad in my mouth right now and the nutrients of the salad and being grateful for my food. About 15 years ago, I was introduced to the idea of being grateful for your food. I'd forgotten it because I just remembered it now, but that was the idea that if you had gratitude for your food, it actually was healthier for you. I don't know. Could be, but I forgot, so maybe that's something I could try again. But anyway, the idea about breathing, full in our capacity, extending our breathing, extending our capacity, our lung capacity. I've seen videos, I'm sure you've seen these videos where the yogis could get, this one was amazing, this yogi slowed his breathing down and his heart rate so slow, and then he folded himself up into this square cube, and they put it underwater, and he's under there for an hour. Came out and was still alive. I don't understand that. I'm thinking David Copperfield, but they say that some yogis can do that. You can actually manipulate your breathing and your heartbeat. Anyway, the next one, this is the one that I think lines start to get blurred. Reading. There are people who read for entertainment, read for information, read for research. I wouldn't consider that a waste of time. Unless I'm reading for research on something that has absolutely nothing to do with me. Like if I'm researching refrigeration repair, I don't ever intend on repairing a refrigerator, but if I spend 2 hours researching on that, I think that's a waste of time. This is where YouTube or the internet can get us lost, because you go for a YouTube video to learn something and, oh, here, maybe you might be interested in this video, and you go to that one, and then you go to the next one, and an hour has passed, and you haven't really followed it on the first thing that you were looking for. That would be considered, to me, a waste. So you'd have to be distinctive about your reading. I'm a big reader. I love reading. Most of my books are philosophical, self-knowledge, educational. I have very rare, small collection of books that are fictional. Harry Potter, the Aragon series that my son got me hooked on. There's another series, I don't remember, the Throne of Glass. series that was, again, that's it. I mean, just 3 series and that's it. And they're all fictional. Everything else for me is historic, documentary, or philosophical. Most of mine are philosophical books. I was looking at my bookshelf today. I was trying to find the book of the month that I wanted to recommend. I put it on the website, but I don't have it. It's the Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor Frankl. Anyway, I'm looking through my the bookshelves, and I can't find it. But I'm looking at, like, on where my desk is. It's got all of my books on the Kabbalah, and then there's Manly P. Hall books, Torkham's books, and then if you go off to the next section, there's some John Baines and Ageless Wisdom teachings, and then some coaching books. But like that's, I could see that they're all mostly correlated to evolution. Now, does this mean that fiction books are not good? No. Sometimes we need a break. You just want to cuddle up with a good book, by a fire, hot chocolate. That's fine. If you're relaxing, absolutely. If you need your mind to take a break, absolutely not a problem. To me, I think the only danger about reading is when we read something that causes us to get angry, to be negative, vengeful, agitated. I don't think that's beneficial. I think reading should be informative or relaxing, not the other way around. And this is where I get caught on the social media with the replies or comments. I usually don't read comments. Most people know this. I won't read comments because, but there are people that will read through the comments and then respond back to the comments, and they'll go back and forth. One of the very first times I did read a comment, I was surprised on how vicious people were back and forth. I thought, oh my goodness gracious, people, it's a point of view. Let it go. Again, just me. So when it comes to the reading, my idea would be not to be wasteful on something that's going to bring me down, cause negative or agitation or aggression. I was thinking about the parable in the Bible where Jesus is walking with his disciples and they come across the carcass of a dog. And the disciples are talking about how it smells and how it looked very disturbing. And Jesus only said, its teeth are white as pearls. So to me, I love that idea because we could focus on the negative and you'll have the negative experience, or focus on the positive and you'll have the positive experience. It doesn't mean that there isn't a negative. There is. You can recognize it, but whatever you draw your attention to, that will be your experience. And that's kind of how I think about reading. If I focus on something that's productive and positive, it will encourage me to be more productive and positive, wherever I place my attention on it. Now I'm coming up to the games. And games, this is a tricky one because games can be a very easy distraction. I remember when the computers first came out. I remember when we didn't have personal computers. I remember we didn't have smartphones, but I remember when the personal computers first came out, the towers. We all had to have those big towers, and solitaire was on almost every game. And back then, it was implemented in businesses, and they discovered that employees were spending anywhere from an hour to 3 hours a day playing solitaire because it was automatically installed on the computers. So they had to wipe off solitaire from. So I know that. Now I'm a victim of playing games. Sometimes I just want to be mindless and I don't care. I want a victory, so I want to play solitaire. So I don't care, and I will do that. I'm big on that one. It started like an airplane trip, and then I got hooked. But because in the airplane, you're like, oh, my eyes are tired, I don't want to read it, I can play solitaire. Or Words with Friends, another game that I love, which I have not played I'm saying this to my husband, I have not played Word for Friends in 3 weeks now. I've been off of Words with Friends for 3 weeks. Thank you very much. I've been off of solitaire for a week and a half. Thank you very much. I can break a habit. It was hard enough to break Starbucks, but now I've got. Anyway, those were my defaults, and I'm admitting, waste of time, absolutely. There are days where I would just sit there and play a game because I didn't want to do anything. I'm tired, it's a weekend, I don't care, and I would waste my day. I am admitting I would waste my day. But there are other games that are beneficial. In other words, family time. We have family time. Tuesday nights we play a game with my son. Family time is very beneficial. The game builds atmosphere, it builds camaraderie, it builds a family, it builds a unit, it's energy spent together, there's laughter, especially if you don't have sore losers. I mean, that, if everyone's supporting each other, that's great. you know, it's fun when we attack my husband, but when they attack me, not fun. Just kidding. But that aspect of a game is good. When it's a group environment and other people are around, yes, I think that's beneficial. To me, sometimes I think the games that I play by myself are wasteful because there's nobody really getting a benefit. Unless if it's like an educational, like Luminosity. I love that, where you're training your brain, or there are brain exercises to do. I don't think that's wasteful. But again, like I said, that's borderline. I mean, most of them probably can get away with not doing them. Which leads me to social media. Now, I know my generation, there wasn't social media. Social media was you go outside and you talk to your friends on the street corner. That was social media. Today, the Z generation, we were just reading about this, they've known nothing but social media. That's how they grew up with. The millennials are the ones who actually was introduced in their life in the early 20s, but nowadays social media is everything. So this is tricky. For networking purposes, absolutely necessary. Checking in with friends, I know my family, my kids, I will get an invitation to a birthday party through Facebook. No phone calls. It's through Facebook. That's how I find out if there's a party. And that was one of the reasons why I actually had Facebook, was just to stay in touch with my kids and the grandkids and find out what's going on. So again, I already mentioned YouTube. We can get lost on that and follow this and follow that. And I've actually really backed off on Facebook a great deal because it doesn't capture my attention anymore. It's nice to check in, and I get the alerts now, so if I see somebody posted, oh, you know, that's nice, but most of the time it's like, yeah, not really interested anymore. I mean, that's nice to see, but not really interested anymore. Every once in a while, like I said, I'll do it, but I don't think I've been on Facebook for, honestly, more than an hour this whole last week that I was sick. I wasn't even interested in doing Facebook. I was rather, you know, binge watching. Which leads me to cable TV, television shows, Netflix, and all the other wonderful distractions that we have. To me, this is another sore point for me. I can get lost in a movie. I can get lost binge watching. Now, I will tell you a funny story. I was sitting there today writing the workshop, running behind because I've been wasting my time today. But anyway, I was running behind. My son comes home from school, and we have a kind of a tradition. We'll sit for an hour. We'll catch up on things. You guys heard this already. I'm going to tell you anyway. We catch up on things. The girl he's got the crush on, did he talk to her today? You know, what did he learn in school? You know, the new movies that are coming out, his musicians, if anybody's releasing a new album, video game downloads, anything. It's usually about an hour. We'll sit and chat and catch up. Well, he comes in and he's going, and I'm still trying to write. I'm like on my last page, I'm going, okay, I know he wants to talk to me. I don't want him to feel invalid. I know I want to give him the time. There's not going to be many more years he's going to want to do this. So I'm kind of listening with a half an ear, but I'm still trying to write. I'm listening with a half an ear. And then he was like right on top of me, and I'm like, okay, buddy, I'm really trying to write this. And he goes, what's the topic? And I said, it's about wasting time. And he goes, maybe if you didn't binge watch Friends last week, you could have written your workshop then. Lovely little child. If he wasn't 6'2", I would have slapped him. No, I'm kidding. So he made me laugh for a little bit. And I said, well, that is true, but you were sitting there with me, which he did. We sat and binge watched like 6 Friends episodes in a row. We watched them. And he's like, wow, I didn't have a workshop to write. It's like, I don't want to hear it. But it was funny that he drew that to my attention, that even my 16-year-old son recognizes wasting time. Like, he recognized it, that I had wasted time. And then, as I tried to go back to my computer, he goes, oh, can I stop you for a second? You got to see this video. And he gets me onto YouTube, and we watch this video of one of his favorite rappers. And the video has nothing to do with the song. It's just about a guy eating spaghetti with his hands. And he's getting spaghetti all over his clothes, and then he's running down the street. He puts the spaghetti in a briefcase like it's money, and he's running down the street, and the spaghetti's hanging out of it. And he stops at a pizza joint and drops the spaghetti and goes in and gets a pizza. I don't get it. My son's laughing hysterically, and I'm wanting to laugh because he's laughing. I don't get it. I don't understand. And then he finally says, no, it's funny because he didn't know what to do for his videos, so he asked his fans, and this was the one that they all voted on. So he ended up, okay. So as I turn the YouTube off and he walks out the office, I'm like, that was a waste of my time. Literally, that's what came out of my mouth. And I went, oh no, it really wasn't, because I actually got to spend time with my son watching something he thought was hilarious. Quality time. I may have considered a minute or two, but it was worth it for him just to have that little connection. But then I thought, oh yeah, you're telling me about binge watching. You just interrupted me with one of your little songs over here. It's like I'm getting defiant. I didn't binge watch. Anyway, so I do understand the idea of binge watching, so which is true. I did. I was binge watching Friends. I never saw it when it was actually on the air, so I was kind of watching it now. And to me, I was thinking, because we were talking about it, and I said, you know, I liked watching Friends because it's a nice dynamic. They're always supporting each other. They're happy, and even though there's struggles, they're always there to be with each other, and it's humorous. And it's a nice break away from a fever and a headache and not feeling well. And he said, well, that's true. I can understand that. But you were also watching Jessica Jones. I was like, okay, get out of here. But I did. I was binge watching that too. And I'm like, well, I did that because we have a Marvel thing in common now. He introduced me to the Marvel world, so I've been trying to watch Marvels, and it gives us something else to talk about. So I know he's watched her, so then I watch it and I ask him questions, and again, it's another topic that we can share. So to me, the Jessica Jones wasn't really wasting time as it was trying to make a connection with my son. Friends, yes, I would say that was. Please, if anybody worked for Friends or on the Friends set, I am not discounting you. Entertainment is very beneficial at times. But Netflix is destroying us with binge watching. They release a whole season, and you literally can waste an entire weekend. I mean, what's the big popular one? Orange is the New Black. I know people that actually have Orange is the New Black parties, that when it comes out, everyone comes over and for the whole weekend. They have sleepovers and watch the entire season. Now that can be fun if you're doing it as a group, getting to know each other, but again, so that's hard to determine when it comes to the cable TVs and shows, that entertainment. I think back in the old days when there wasn't TV, then just the radio, you actually had to come up with things to do with other people, and there was more interaction. Today there seems to be so many different ways to entertain ourselves without interacting with people. We're more isolated now, I think, as a society than when I was growing up. So then I started thinking about other things that people consider a waste of time. This was a big one with George. Not many people knew this. He didn't like cooking. He actually didn't like eating because it was a waste of time. He was in the middle of doing something, you have to go eat, or his stomach is growling because he's hungry. But he didn't like to cook. He was not a big cook. His wife used to cook all the time, and then when they were divorced and I moved in to take care of him towards the end of his life, I did the cooking because I don't mind cooking, but he didn't like, he would eat out every night. I know a lot of people that go out, eat out. Almost every meal they're eating out. That can be quite expensive and maybe not as healthy for some of us. So there are people who think cooking is a waste of time. This is why, I mean, TV dinners. Remember, we grew up with the TV dinners. Put them in the oven, and then they have the tin foil, and you get your little TV tray. And they don't have that now. Everything's microwave packaged, pre-packaged. Just throw it in the microwave, a minute or two, you're done. That's like the extent of cooking. So it's funny how we have more time on our hands but less patience to do the cooking aspect of it. Other people consider communication as a waste of time. Oh, I don't want to explain it, you're not going to get it. And they just go. I've had that a number of occasions where I'll be having an interaction with someone that, oh, you're not going to understand. And then just not even want to talk because it would be a waste of their time or energy or effort. Could be seeing that. So when I thought about this for wasting time, these are obviously my own opinions, but I went just for fun. I typed in the Google search bar, time wasters, and I came across this website called Lifehack, and there was an article that actually has the top 20 time wasters, and then it has 5. This is it, 20 time wasters and only 5 worthwhile things to do. I was like, whoa. So this was written by Teresa Griffith. You can just go there. It's the, what is it called? Lifehack. Lifehack.com. Anyway, her number 1 time waster is Facebook, which made me laugh. So I don't really agree with most of all of them. Most of them I do, but Facebook. She said that I don't really think I need to explain this to any of you. If you're reading Lifehack, you're savvy enough to know that Facebook and other social media can be a huge black hole for time, which is true. I agree with that. I know people that first thing they do every morning, wake up, get right on Facebook. First thing, before even getting out of bed, Facebook. Then another one, this is funny, photo taking, organizing, uploading, and posting. Now, I know I've had the discussion with people that I've actually slowed down. I used to be a big photographer. I always had the digital camera. I'm out taking pictures. I love nature scenes. But I remember having the conversation one time with George where he said, how much of it are you missing because you're behind the camera? And I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, I'm trying to get the perfect shot. And meanwhile, I miss the sunset because I'm trying for the perfect shot. And I didn't realize that. Or I'm at parties and I'm taking pictures, but I'm not having conversations because I'm taking all the pictures. So that really made an impact to me, and where I kind of slowed down, and I'm not big on photos anymore. I used to be very big. I'm not really big anymore. As a matter of fact, my husband has the camera most of the time. I don't even use it anymore. Anyway, I like what she said, photo taking, organizing, uploading, and posting. We all have and all love to share our best moments with our friends. If you start doing this a lot, it could be a huge time waster, which is true. I think the last time I did this was at my niece's wedding a year ago, and I was really having fun, but I was aware on how I'm clicking and posting. Oh, I got to write what that was about, and then I've got to click and make a little comment about it. So it really was a lot of time. Thankfully, I did a lot of it while I was on the airplane, but still, it was a lot of time. I'm aware of that. So I think about that, you know, people who are constantly posting. Wow, that must be a large amount of time. This one is another one. She wrote, number 3, memento gathering, which she says is like an extension of the last item. You can waste a lot of time collecting and organizing mementos, like special pieces that people have, knickknacks, or tchotchkes is what I grew up with, the word tchotchkes, or knickknacks, those little things that, you know, and then you organize them all, the little, I actually started my daughter, I feel bad about this, but I started her with the little bear, the little ceramic bear things, cherish bears or something like that, where you always have one. That could be a great deal of time as well. There are some collectibles that I do have that, you know, I don't want to get rid of them. But she said, you know, extra special pieces are great, but trash the boring stuff. How do you determine what's boring? Does anybody remember Ziggy, that old cartoon Ziggy? It was an old cartoon, but they used to have little Ziggy dolls. Well, I collected a great deal of Ziggy dolls. So I have a Ziggy doll for every holiday. And I have it inside, ooh, Denise likes that. And I have them inside the little cases so that they won't get destroyed, whatnot. And they're all in a box in the attic. I mean, I used to have them displayed, but I don't have any room to do that anymore. But like, I wouldn't get rid of that. Now, somebody else would consider that boring, but to me, that's pretty cool that I have one for every, there's Ziggy coming out of a pumpkin for Halloween, Ziggy with a graduation hat and a cap and gown, because, you know, I think those are fun.
Did you take them out though at all?
No, I haven't. Before I moved into Mark's house, I did. I had them in my office. But once we moved in, we had to push everything together. There wasn't any room for me to put them out. I think once I clear out my daughter's room and she's not there anymore, I might put them back up. I used to have this beautiful shelf that I would hang them in there. I like them. I think they're very cute. I have a couple of other things like the bobbleheads. You know, to me, I think those are goofy. But, you know, I have a bobblehead of Harmon Killebrew. Great ball player. He passed away. I'm keeping that. Not getting rid of that one. But then there's some other, I think Randy Johnson, I think I have a bobblehead of Randy Johnson too. And who was the other? Tug McGraw. I don't remember. Anyway, that's stuff that I wouldn't get rid of. This number 4, she wrote personal grooming. That made me laugh. She's considered personal grooming a waste of time. But then she said, personal hygiene is essential. But if you spend more than 5 minutes on your hair, it might be time to reduce that. Get a different haircut. Okay, I get that now. And there are some women that do spend a great deal of time in the morning getting ready for work, the makeup, the hair, clothes. I get that, I understand that, but that's what I'm thinking what she's talking about is when you go over and beyond about it. I've never been one for makeup. If I can get away without wearing it, I actually only wear it, I have to come here or if I go to work. Other than that, I'm makeup less. I'm fine not wearing makeup, I don't care. Half the time I don't care about doing my hair, although today I have to because it's raining and I look like Donna Summer, so I had to do something. Here's another one she wrote is a waste of time, exercise. She's a funny lady. She said, exercise is very important, but you don't need to spend a lot of time doing it. Going for an intense workout to 20, 30 minutes is great, A 2-hour workout is not so great. So I agree with that. I think that you have to make the line, make it beneficial, but don't overdo it. I know some people that go to the gym for 3 hours. That's nuts. I can't do that. I can't understand that. Number 6, she wrote, having affairs. That's what she wrote. Having affairs. That's a waste of time. If you want to be more than one relationship on the go, well, all I could say is good luck. It's hard enough to be with one. Oh, that's funny. Playing games, she wrote, it was Plants versus Zombies for a while, then Angry Birds. Remember Angry Birds when that came out? What games do you like to play? While a little bit of game playing is great recreation, just beware of the time you spend. Now last month, or the month before, I think Rosa gave me, one of our staff, she gave me an app that actually you can install on your phone and it will monitor you how long you're playing and actually limit you. If you want to limit it to 1 hour, it will actually go off and you can't get back on unless you have a password. She was saying that so I could put it on my son's phone. But for me personally, she actually does it for her so that she only has like 20 minutes of FaceTime and after that she can't go back on for another 24 hours. I like that idea. TV, again, I agree with that. She said, this, in my opinion, is the worst culprit of all. 99% of the time, it's not useful, helpful, or recreational in the true meaning of the word. Lots of shows will try to sell themselves as being informative and educational, but they aren't. This is funny. This tells you she's a millennial. For example, how much do you really need to know about ancient battles? If you're a historian and you like that, I would say I would like to know that. TV is a horrendous time waster. Don't be one of those people who lose 20 hours a week in front of the flat screen. Now, I remember I was listening to a lecture by Manly P. Hall, and he called it the idiot box. And people who can spend up to 2 hours a day on the idiot box, he said this, have really got something. I don't know what it is, but they have it. Which I thought was a good statement. She wrote also watching movies. She said is a small step from TV, but you're not being bombarded by the commercials. However, one 90-minute movie a day adds up to 10.5 hours per week. That was amazing when I thought about it. If you watch one movie a day, it's 10.5 hours a week that you've wasted watching movies. So she said, why not make it just a special treat, which I used to do. It used to be just a movie a week. That was like movie night, a date night, go out, go see a movie. That's special. But of course now today we can live stream everything. 2-3 movies on a Saturday is not uncommon for me, I'm sad to say. Number 10 she wrote was YouTube, live streaming, which we already talked about. And this is funny, number 11, going for coffee is a waste of time. While you might love the espresso every day, how much time does it take you to drive to the coffee shop, stand in line, or wait through the drive-thru, pay, and then drive wherever else that you really need to go? So you could save time by getting really great beans and make your own at home. Which I agree, save money too. She wrote here, being sick is a waste of time. I like this. It's better investment of your time to eat healthy and keep your immune system strong so that you don't lose time being sick. I completely agree with that. Number 13, reading junky books. That's what she called it. Reading junky books is a waste of time. She said, I hesitate to say this, but reading can be a time waster. Think about what you're reading and why. Please still encourage young people to read anything and everything to improve their reading skills, which I agree. I loved when I met my husband, his kids were still in elementary school, and they had an assignment, half an hour reading every night. I love that. Sometimes I would read with them. We'd sit and read together. I thought that was a great thing. Unfortunately, once they got into junior high, gone. You don't have to do it anymore. Although my son still loves to read. I'm very happy about that. 14, here's another waste of time, commuting. She said, add up this time spent going to and from work every day and you'll see a way to reduce it. Carpool if you can, which helps reduce spending gas money, but you also could do things while you're riding in the car. So you could read or do emails and stuff, or get an employer who will actually let you work from home one day a week, which I know a lot of people, that's one of the benefits they like, a work from home day. 15, shopping. Is a waste of time. We all need groceries, but do you need to have to drive across town to the bulk store and spend 4 hours on a Saturday filling up a gigantic cart? Have you done the math to see how much money you are actually saving? Which I agree on this one too. It'd be better to just go what you need. And how about all the unnecessary clothes, gadgets, or phone shopping? You could save some time doing that to a closer store rather than driving across town, which leads her to the next one, online shopping. That could be a waste of time with online shopping because obviously there's so many things to look for and things that get sent to, and online shopping, one of my stores that I love to shop online is called ThreadUp. It's actually a resale store. So good products that are maybe worn just once or twice and they just resell them. And you put in your size and your style and they know it. So every day I get an email, hey, there's new Michael Kors boots. Hey, there's new Kate Spade stuff. And you go right to it. And then before you know it, you're looking at stuff you don't really need. But so that would be the online shopping. So she writes, this is a variation of shopping, but it bears mentioning separately. You need to order this or that on specific. Give yourself about 5 minutes and that's it. If you really don't need it, go. I mean, Amazon is great. You go to Amazon, you want to order a book. Hey, order 2 more items, you get free shipping. And then you start searching for 1 or 2 more items, and that's how you get caught. This one I don't agree with here. She said, number 17, accounting is a waste of time. I don't understand how she came up with this one. She said, depending on your situation, your system of accounting skill, it might be a major time saver to just pay someone else to do it. Okay, I understand. Or you might be able to streamline your system to do a little of this rather than huge chunks of time during tax season. Okay, I can understand that if you do a little bit of that on your computer, which means then went to number 18, organizing files on your computer. Sometimes when you first do it, it's really a chunk of time, but if you stream it every day, that you know, clean up your emails. I mean, how many times have I gone for a month or 2 without deleting emails, and then all of a sudden I've got 400 to 500 emails that I have to siphon through. So I really have made it a habit. Every time I go through my email, at least once a week I'm deleting. And then I delete the trash and I delete the junk box so that that's not full either, because that really does take space up on my computer. I like this one, number 19. A waste of time is cleaning your house. A waste of time is cleaning your house. That's what she says. Depending on your situation, it might be better to just hire someone. I totally love this woman. I like the queen of clean, her idea, and this is something I used to follow. I haven't done it in a while, but do something every day. Dust a bedroom, vacuum the kitchen, clean off the countertops, just something every day. Do a load of laundry every day so that your Saturday isn't blown 4, 5, 6 hours having to clean and do the laundry. I used to do this every day. I don't do it anymore, but I am, after reading this, I am really recommitting myself to do it. It was kind of hard to get my family used to doing laundry every day, because if I do the blacks on Monday and they wanted blacks on Thursday, I've already washed them, and if they've already worn them, sorry. So it was a little hard to do that, but when I lived alone, I used to do that every day. But I am committed. I'm saying this right now to you, my husband as well. I'm committed to doing one thing a day so that weekends aren't used for just cleaning. Number 20, she wrote, is obsessions. I thought this was actually very good. Whether it's reading conspiracy theory websites or tracking down the 16th generation genealogy, our hobbies can become obsessions if we don't control them. Make sure that anything you do, spending a lot of time on them, hasn't become an unbalanced fascination with it. I agree with this. There are sometimes I get lost on, oh, I wonder where that went and who is that person? Or I'll see a headline of, I don't know, the latest couple, Anna Faris and Chris Pratt, divorce, and oh, what happened? So you go in there and, oh, who is he dating now? And oh, who is she dating now? And then this, I don't need to know this, but I've done this. I've gone and researched. I'm just using that as an example, but you know, you've gone and researched but it makes no contribution. So I agree with that. I think that obsessions can be. So those are the top 20 that she came up with. Now the 5 things that she said are worthwhile things, that's it, only 5. Number 1, connecting with friends and family. Well, naturally you go, well, that's what Facebook is for. Well, actually, she says no. Having a network of close friends can let your guard down around is extremely important. Don't turn your friends to work on hobbies alone. Don't stay at home from your weekly meetup groups because you feel grumpy. Going out will cheer you up. So she's meaning actual physical personal interactions. Necessary. I agree. Number 2, eating good food slowly. Totally agree with this. Eating good food, healthy food. I'm a big food fanatic on being healthy, even though I don't do it all the time. I strive for it, and eat it slowly. I'm not a fast eater. Anyone who's ever eaten with me, you know I'm not a fast eater. I'm very slow on eating. Most of the time I'm the last one done at the table with our family. It doesn't matter. I eat slow and I'll talk a little bit, but I'm eating. I mean, it's not just I'm rushing to eat. I'm very grateful I don't do that because that's not good for your digestive system either. Number 3, being reliable for your kids' sake. She said is worthwhile. If you said that you'd take time to take them to practice or go see the recital, do it. Even if it means 2-3 times a week, you do it because it makes them feel valuable. Hence my story about my son with the YouTube video. It makes him feel valuable, I'm going to watch it. It's not something I want to do, but I'm investing in him and I'm investing in our relationship, absolutely. So I would extend this even more, not just your kids, your relationships. If your significant other is interested in something, listen to them. Most of the time, when my husband talks to me about the things that he's interested in, I glaze over. I feel bad. I'm trying to stay focused, but my mind starts to wander. He sees it, and I feel bad about that. I don't want him to. So I'll try to, but there are some things that I just don't want to, but I listen for him. So it's important to do this. As we get older, it's important to do it to our adults, our parents, so that our parents feel valuable. I mean, it's amazing to me how we go from children to adults, and then we have our parents. So we see our parents in different stages. You know, as children, it's the parents, and then as adults, oh, you know, we're equal, we're discussing things, and then as their parents, they end up being more like kid-like, and they have less to do, and they want to talk to you, and they get involved in conversations, and it's sad. Not sad, but I feel like there's time that they're trying to catch up with, and, you know, we're busy doing things, but they're idle now. My dad was just telling me, he was talking to somebody from Arizona today working on his Netscape account or something, and they were in Arizona. And my dad is telling me this conversation he's having with this gentleman, whether he likes Arizona or not. The guy's talking about the allergy season and the neti pot, and he's telling my dad how to use the neti pot and what kind of water. And I thought, my dad's one of those guys that calls the customer service and talks about other stuff because he doesn't have anything else to do. Like that really touched me. I was like, oh, I need to call my dad more. But really invest your time with them and whenever you have the people who are in front of you. I'm very big on that. No matter who's in front of you, invest your time with them consciously. Number 4, she says, being in nature. I'm sorry, I'm over time here. Being in nature, I'm a huge fan of being in nature, so is she. To me, it's about energy, reconnecting with energy. Most of the time when I'm in nature, I feel revitalized, I feel centered, I feel energized, I feel like I can take on the world. So sometimes, which I didn't do this week, when I'm sick, I will actually go out in nature, and I didn't do it this week, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm very big on that. She's very big on it too. She loves the green experience, watching sunsets, or even just clouds, watching birds, which I love, boats in the harbor, she says. And then number 5, laugh more, play more, and worry less, which I agree. These are worthwhile things to do. She says, Donald Cooper says in his Accelerate Your Business workshops, trust the process. All your hard work will pay off. Do the steps you feel are best, and don't worry. Give yourself time to play, not game-wise, but play with people. Remember hopscotch? That was actually a very good game. You're athletic, you're in it, you're playing with other friends. Like that was an outdoor thing too. Anyway, I don't know why that went to. Staying lighthearted, your brain works better this way and stress levels will decrease. So I agree with that. So again, the 5 things that she says are connect with friends and family personally, eating good food, being reliable for your kids, do what you say you're going to do, spend quality time with, I would add anyone, being in nature, laugh more and play more, and worry less. So in conclusion for me, I thought this was a nice list, but then I got thinking, you know what? I wonder if I were to write my own time wasters list and time worthy. Like if I were to come up with things that I would consider wasting time and things that I would consider worthwhile. So I'm going to give you all an assignment. Write down a list of things that you consider time wasters and things that are worthwhile, and then challenge yourself for this week to eliminate the wasting and incorporate the worthwhile. And at the end of the week, see if you feel any different. I want to do that as an experiment. So check in with me and let me know how you did. So again, write a list of things that you consider waste of time and things that you consider worthwhile doing, and then commit to eliminating the time wasters and incorporating the worthwhile items. And then at the end of the week, see how you feel. Thank you for hanging in there. I know I'm 5 minutes over. I appreciate all of you for checking in. Thank you all for coming out on a rainy night to be with us. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks for our Wednesday night workshop, and I still don't know what the title is, but you'll get an email about it. Thank you. Good night. Clap loud.